we do think of the movie as Canadian because it's like, it's very Canadian in my opinion. And lots of like Canadian themes and
All right. Yeah, it's great to meet you guys. I really liked the film a lot. It was really enjoyable. I really liked the animation, especially. That was a lot of fun. I hope you guys had a lot of fun doing that. I was just curious for you guys, what kind of inspired that style of animation?
well, thanks. I'm glad that you enjoyed it and I'm stoked that you like the animation and stuff. I've been like doing animation for years, like, and it's kind of been a progression. Like I'm an artist and stuff like that. And uh, the kids had like their own little parts that they animated, and like we were trying to get them more involved. They just ended up doing kind of little parts, and we're hoping that they like excel with that like jump start or whatever. But like Cookie animated and drew her own little section, and or she didn't animate it, but she drew her own section, and then I animated it and like voiced it and like kind of that was her scene. But uh, it's been a progression. It's like been like I was kind of doing zines and stuff like that, and like part of this like Nagadog community, like Canadian kind of psychedelic cartoonists and stuff. And then my friend Shane and I made this feature length animation years ago. Uh, Shane Eamon and I made Asphalt Watches, and that was kind of a progression of like drawing and then this is a continued progression of that. Uh, and like a lot of it was like kind of like when drawing like family members and seeing if they liked it and seeing if they laughed at the characters, if they laughed at other family members and stuff like that, then you knew you were kind of on the right track. I don't know how to turn my brother's phone off. It's making this beeping
Me
noise.
neither.
Turn the volume down. Anyway, sorry. So yeah, I don't know. So it was kind of a progression like that, like like a sometimes you'd be like, I have no idea how I got to this point, but this really looks like Ada. And then,
Right.
like the kids, like uh, uh, Racco, and when he was like 1.5, he was like looking at some of the drawings, and he was like, before he even heard the voices and stuff, and he was like, Uncle Pete, Papa, Chris, and he was like guessing the characters, and was like, holy moly. Like we must be on the right track if like a little kid can like guess who the family members are. Even though they seem so unreal, like, they somehow work.
Yeah. No, honestly,
Mm.
like I really liked how the storytelling was done in what seems like everyday conversations. I was just curious, was the plan always to make the film kind of so self-aware with these imperfections and random moments of sound, or did that just make you guys laugh and that's why you kind of included it, or what was
Like
the
with
thought behind
like
that?
with the interruptions and like all the chaos.
Yeah.
That was not planned. That was
Just laughing at the madness.
Yeah, like when we first started, it was actually we were just gonna straight up do really good recording of Pete telling stories. And then, Pete lives in a four-bedroom house with 8 kids and 16 dogs, and so it proved to be impossible, and it was like maddening. And then after a while, like, and sure enough, so a neighbor would come by and interrupt us, or the kids would like, like start like, playing video games or walk by and swear or something. It was just like, yeah, man. And like
Mm.
that toilet flush, like those were real interruptions. And like that dogs, like the dogs squealing and squeaking,
Yeah, man.
that was real. That was like a real squeal that we couldn't figure out where it was coming from. And Sylvester figured it out. It was like these puppies that had been born under the stairs,
So there was like about 8 or 9 puppies, and like 3 feet away from us, just the other
just
side of
on
them.
the other side of the wall. But once we gave into the chaos, then our lives became way easier and way better.
No, I love that.
And and then it allowed us. Then we realized it was becoming a family portrait. Like once some of the kids had put themselves in it. So then it was like, oh, we can include other family members. And then it kind of became this sweet thing.
Yeah. There's I appreciate like there's clearly so many details in the backgrounds of all the locations that you draw. What is like one of your favorite details that you haven't maybe got to highlight recently while talking about the film?
There's like a free Leonard Peltier poster in the background of one of the scenes in Toronto, and then when we premiered it, it was right when there was
Yeah,
also a free Leonard Peltier documentary at the same time, but it was right when he got out,
yeah, like
and
we
I
were,
remember thinking like,
like
oh man,
we were
we
in
couldn't
Utah when that
believe
happened.
it. We couldn't believe that Peltier was released or on under house arrest. It's still a little bit whatever bizarre, but it was like a real exciting moment. So that was a nice Easter egg, I guess, because it was timely. Because the free Leonard Peltier poster, that would have been something, like we would have seen in like the '80s and then disappeared for a while. Came back in the '90s, disappeared for a while. Came back in the 2000s.
Yeah,
The movement to free Leonard, it never went away, but it was the popularity of it went away and then came back, kind of like a lot of those things, how they go in cycles. But I don't know. I mean, I love the background of some of the store scenes where there's like colonial flavored, old timey settler uh, housing crisis. I think that was like one of the. I can't remember the exact package right this second, but it was like that was a pretty funny one. Uh, I like there's a couple like Easter eggs of stories that didn't get told in some of the freezers behind Pete when he's talking, like
Yeah.
the frozen bank account. I kind of like that one. It's pretty simple, just like a bank account in the freezer. Um, can you think of any good ones?
uh, I always think about the one when somebody mistaken their father for the priest when he came to visit one time. Hey, that's not the priest.
Yeah, that's. I mean, yeah, and it's like it's funny. That was like when I was there and someone thought I was at RCMP just because like the only people in town, like there's not that many white people in Shamattawa, so then I visit, so people assume I'm like because like the RCMP are usually white guys and the nurses are usually white, so then like when our sister visits, like all the kids run away from her thinking that she's gonna like give them a needle or something. It's
Right.
like lots of funny jokes like that.
Yeah. I really enjoyed the kind of the reflection on storytelling and like also what it means to be Canadian, whatever that means. How do you kind of feel about what, the current state of what is like kind of considered Canadian storytelling, and how do you think you fit into that, or do you not fit into that at all? How do you view that?
Well, I guess we got our style. So
Yeah, I wonder. I mean, it's like we do think of the movie as Canadian because it's like, it's very Canadian in my opinion. And lots of like Canadian themes and I'm happy to like tell like to be a part of something that's like telling multiple perspectives of the state of Canada. And being, like we're like proudly telling these Canadian stories, but not in the way where we're like don't you dare say anything bad about Canada. It's like Canada, has a dark history, and we're not going to hide from that. And that's one of the ways to freaking heal. You know,
yeah, talk about it.
got to
So,
tell the truth.
Absolutely. Um, I think this is probably my last question. One part that really stood out to me was the you guys kind of commenting on the film being made as it's happening. Um, what did you maybe want the audience to get out of those scenes from like showing the making of the film, especially like those scenes with the NRG, kind of commenting a little
So
bit about
the
the
NFG,
the NFG. Sorry.
uh, that stands for no effing good, or whatever way you want to say the F word. Um, well, that was kind of like a tool to answer questions. Was like one, like like and it kind of made it easier for some of the flow. And it was neat to show ourselves making it, like so it's kind of like, oh yeah, we can show that it's not that easy always. And that's
yeah,
also a very Canadian thing, like people like mystify it in other countries about Canadian like film grants and Canadian arts grants. So
Right.
it's kind of funny showing it.
yeah. So it's like this is like family discussions, and it got recorded, made into an animation. So
Like Pete always describes it as stories around the kitchen table. How do you say that?
Yeah, it's just talking to your family around the kitchen tables where you're not supposed to be letting anybody else here. And then, yeah, it got out in the world. So,
All right. Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing that with us. Yeah. And it's great talking to you guys.
Nice
Yeah,
talking to you
really
too.
thank you, man.
enjoyed this conversation, enjoyed the film a lot. I'll be telling a lot of people about it. So,
Oh, amazing.
yeah.